Alrighty, welcome back folks. Today we're going to be loading a little bit of 308 Winchester. We are loading up a 150 grain full metal jacket. We're using Federal 210 large rifle primers. We have ABM 308 brass. It has been once fired. Today we're using our RCBS Rock Chucker 2 and our Redding 2-die set here. And we have this replacement micrometer seating stem installed up here. Pretty cool. I've never used a micrometer before. Seems like a very nice unit. We'll get to testing that a little bit more later on anyways. But let's get to the loading. We are using 50 grains of CFE223. We're at an overall length of 2.7 inches. And we're expecting roughly 2,900 feet per second, just loosely based on the book data. So we will see when we get out to the range here in just a few. Ignore the messy shelf, but here we've got my RCBS Uniflow powder in the hopper, and we are dialed in for 50 grains. So we just did a quick 5-throw average with the Uniflow, and you can see, since my phone is near the scale, it's jumping around, but 5-throw average is within 1/10 of the total, which is pretty damn good for just throwing it on the Uniflow there. So we should be pretty consistent as far as our powder goes. So let's get to it. And it's that simple. Perfect. Well, it's that simple when your brass has already been prepped, trimmed, sized, everything else. And we're already primed, so all we're doing is throwing the powder, seating the bullet, and we'll be out in the range here in a second. But real quick, here's a check at our case fill. We are right up there, and if it's not compressed, it's just up there kissing the bottom of the bullet. So hopefully we didn't go over with our random charge, and this will be a nice middle starting point. Check the case gauge, right in and right out. We're loaded up with our 20 rounds. We are ready to go. And I've got another project over here off to the left, but you'll have to stay tuned for that one. Anyways, let's get out to the range and get this puppy sighted in and see what we can do on the paper there with a random charge of a random powder. So our first shot over the chronograph with our cold bore was about 50 feet per second slower than the rest of them. So after that, I took that one out of the data, and we've got a standard deviation of about 15 and an extreme spread of 45. Not great, but we just have a random load here trying to get some trigger time in.
$2,888. $2,939.
Bat. Looks like it needs a new battery.
$2,959. $2,987. $2,975.
So here we are at 100 after our warm-up and chronograph testing. Yeah, this is not pretty. We've got 10 shots and about friggin' 6 inches or some nonsense. But let's get back on the bench and see if I can hold any better at 200. And we'll see if we can even hit the freaking target. Let's go! So no pressure signs, no ejector swipes, no tight bolt lifting. And I've already taken 2 shots at 200, so let's do a few more and see where we are at. So I think I'm good on my vertical height out at 200, but I'm also off the left side of the paper. So I'm gonna have to hold right to see if we can hit in the middle. But first we're gonna go down and take a look at 200 and see where we're actually hitting before I make some silly correction that's not actually what needs to happen. Okay folks, we're out at 200 yards and I said we were hitting left. That's these three, and I guess we threw one up high as well. Can't find number 5. I'm guessing somewhere over here. So I'm gonna keep holding center as far as vertical, but I'm gonna hold left side of the target here. So we'll see what happens. Let's get back to it. All right, fillers, we are back for our last 5 shots out at 200. Again, I'm gonna hold right side of the paper and see if we can get those to hit on our little paster there. But with that group size, we aren't sure about anything, but let's give it a shot. Here we go. All right, fellers, we got 5 shots at 200. Let's do this. Okay, well, from here it's kind of hard to tell, but it looks like they were actually hitting where I was aiming, so now we're off to the right side. I'm not expecting much when we get down there, but let's go check it out. So, yeah, just like I was expecting, they're hitting where I'm actually holding this time, except 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are here. I'm guessing number 5 is out in the nether somewhere. But this is what we get for just going with a random charge. But we did get some chronograph data, and we can see that we don't have any pressure yet, so it's fine to keep moving up in charge until we do find some sort of accuracy node. But let's get back to the bench with this nonsense, and we'll talk it all out. And we are back here at the bench, folks. There's not a whole lot to go over here. What we have here in front of us is what you call a dumpster fire. Or rather, really, it's just the results of a bunch of random components picked at random, essentially. And this is what you get sometimes for pissing in the wind. You'll notice there are 11 holes on the target. This one, we can ignore him. And let's go ahead and get a measurement on this bad boy. I don't know if my calipers even get big enough. Jesus, what an embarrassment. Here we are at 17 feet across. Very nice, a good solid 5 inches. And let's go ahead and check out our target at 200 yards. All right, so this bad boy looks like a nice piece of Swiss cheese. We can see our first 4 shots that were circled. That one was over here, number 5 of that group, I believe. And then so I held right side of the target. And then we have the other 4 here, and then I'm guessing the 10th shot, or one of those from shot 6 through 10, is gonna be somewhere over here off on the backer. So yeah, the calipers aren't gonna work here. Let's just go ahead and, well, I don't know how to measure this group because it's just blah. Anyways, yeah, I'm just being sarcastic, but at least we gathered some chronograph data, which we can go over real quick. So our numbers on the chronograph, we had 9 shots for the record. Remember, the first one was low by 50 or so feet, so I deleted that one, and the rest of the 9 fell into this group here. Average of 2964, extreme spread of 48, and a standard deviation of 15. Now, that's not, you know, we're in the teens for our standard deviation. That's not incredible, but it's not trash. And we still have a grain and a half we can work up. But is this just a total lost cause? Do we pursue this any further? Maybe I'll do some 3-shot groups and work up maybe by 2/10 at a time. up until our maximum charge and see if there's anything worth pursuing here with this combination. But at this time, it looks like it might be a lost cause. But it wasn't a total lost cause because I did get some trigger time. I got to hang out in the nice outdoors, all that good stuff. You know, it's never a bad day, even if it's a bad day at the range. So whatever. I'm not upset. We had some data to work with. We didn't have pressure on our brass, so we can keep going up. I think I'm going to. I might. It's just a plinking load. You know, CFE223 isn't the most expensive powder, but it does give you some freaking, you know, pretty incredible velocities. So the last time I used this bullet, the 150 grain full metal jacket from Hornady, I was using AR Plus from Shooter's World, and those groups were probably an inch at 100 yards and single digit standard deviations. So maybe I could pursue that, but the velocity was maybe only 2,700. So much lower velocity and trade for accuracy, or you can kick it up to 10 or 11 or whatever and you know, put holes in the cheese. Yeah, I'd rather hit what I'm aiming at, but I'm sure that we can work on this a little bit and fine tune it. Here's just one more quick peek at the brass. Obviously no pressure signs here. This firing pin just likes to give that little bit of a crater. No ejector marks or any of that on our case heads. The powder burned nice and clean, just a little bit of soot around the neck, so we got a nice full seal. But again, we can come up almost 1.5 grains and continue up from here, so we'll probably continue onward, but I'm not going to expect any miracles. Perhaps just a good plinking load with a full metal jacket. So anyways, if you want to see the secret to being able to shoot groups like this, you enjoy this sort of content, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can also support us over on patreon.com/dummyround. Thanks again for hanging out, guys. We will see you in the next video. Have a good one.